Do you think infantry are just slow tanks? Well, this is wrong. They are the backbone of PvP. And you're going to hear this over and over and over again, but in this video I'm going to go in deep why this is actually happening and how to use the best and most efficient way your infantry. And most players overlook infantry because they fight in the melee. And this is correct. If you're mage main, why you're going to go with infantry when you can just shoot from the safe distance? It just makes no sense for the players. But I will show you that why they're extremely flexible unit on the battlefield. Today I will cover 4 critical reasons why infantry actually dominate. And this is going to be the blocking, defending, holding passes, and their synergy in open field. And I'll start with blocking enemy effectively. Now, first thing is infantry is having pretty decent march speed. Majority of the people don't know that the infantry is just having little less march speed from the cavalry. Cavalry right now on the tier 5 is having 208 march speed. Infantry on their side are having 163. Okay, it's not that close, but it's outperforming the marksmen that is having 138, and obviously the mages that I think is even more slow. Yeah, it's like 120. And when the Gorosh and Skogul combo come in Call of Dragons, I get outrun by infantry and my mages get blocked, especially if you're moving from long distance. Infantry just can lock and block your legion there. Also, they're having a charge, which make the things even more harder to escape from the infantry. And by blocking, we also speak about when they're fighting on the battlefield, when the two armies clashes. You're going to need infantry to block enemy infantry. You're going to need infantry to block cavalry that most likely is going to flank you. And this is becoming very popular in Call of Dragons to have a separate groups or army groups or players coming with 3, 4, 5 cavalry legions and strike the mages on the flanks, mages and marksmen. And also cavalry can actually go in deep in the mages and marksmen. So in situation like this, maybe you're going to need some infantry. There is nothing best from having like 3, 4 Gorosh Skogul or Gorosh Kuma legions in your mage marksman deadbow that is having spirit bond torque. With the taunt, if it's possible for 5 seconds, even better. But infantry is your protectors. And many people don't know, but they're blocking a lot of damage that is going in the direction of the mages and marksmen. And maybe you're going to ask yourself, how can infantry stop faster units? We already speak that infantry is on the second place by march speed, so we're actually talking about the cavalry. And one of the ways, as I explained, is going to be to have infantry directly in the mage bow, mage marksman bow, or having them circle around this mage bow and even prevent the cavalry from the charges. Cavalry disappear extremely fast, and if they don't hit the target, obviously they're getting like 100% rage when they hit mage or marksman, but if they don't get this opportunity, they're going to disappear extremely fast. And especially when the infantry is having an artifact that is the fastest artifacts in Call of Dragons. They rage regeneration more faster from any artifact. And this is, for example, Spirit Born Torque is going to be 400 rage cost. The other artifact is also maybe Dragon Reef. This artifact is not exactly what I mean, but Spirit Born Torque is one of these artifacts. It is again 400. On the second place by execution is going to be a cavalry artifact. This one needs 600. On the third place is going to be marksman, 1.2k, and finally mages, 1.6k. So this also matter on the battlefield and from point of blocking. Having 400 rage, that means if you catch a cavalry, there's a decent chance you actually taunt decent amount of cavalry, actually up to 5 targets, and prevent them to go in the mage marksman bow. The next thing I want to point out is going to be city and pass defenses. Why not just use range units to defend? And this is a very bad idea. I'm currently using for my garnison, I'm using Bertrand and Tocher. There is a reason why I'm using Bertrand and Tocher, because they are fully awakened, they're 6-star, Tocher get a lot of improvements. But if I have to pick and I have Goresh and Kuma, for example, as a heroes, and they have the same stats like my Tocher and Bertrand, I'm going to for sure use Goresh and Kuma as my garnison. I'm not going to use Tocher and Bertrand. Even though Tocher is having the garnison tower tree, which is giving some extra advantages, it's like doubling the stats when you put a hero in the garnison. And you can see it clearly in the tower tree. For example, here normal attack damage bonus is going to be 0.8%. This is for Magrat, but it's same for rest of the heroes. Here, when in the garnison, Captain Garn deal 2% more normal attack damage. So it's something like a double these stats for the heroes and troops inside. And something else, when your rally or your defense or you're in defense of your garnison, infantry can just absorb brutal amount of damage. Now I have a video about the best garnison troop and etc. So you can go and check it out, this video after this one, but so far infantry, you're going to see it always is going to be infantry in the portals, it's going to be infantry in the rally for sure, at least one. Some people are making some strategy with going with infantry. For example, you send Goresh with Mogro, having in mind that the Mogro is hitting and is reducing the HP by 30%, and from there you can strike with some marksmen that is doing crazy amount of damage. I mean, there is just so many strategy in this direction, but still the main troop you're going to see is going to be infantry. People was thinking that the cavalry is going to go in this direction. Basically the game is going to make cavalry for rallies. There's still cavalry that are good for rallies, but on the first place is going to be infantry. So if you want to support your alliance to break the defense, to break a bastion, and these days breaking a bastion is one idea more easy because people cannot exactly teleport where is the bastion. So if you want to support your alliance, you're going to need infantry. Obviously for rally you have to have the pets, you have to have the heroes, you have to have the artifacts and etc. Most likely it's going to be led by whales or krakens, but still you're going to need our infantry to support these rallies. So let's talk about the frontline stability. What make infantry excellent in open field fights? The first thing is actually the pressure. I fight so many fights and no joke, but the alliance that bring more infantry on the battlefield is actually the alliance that is going to most likely win the outcome of the fight. Obviously activity is also important. If you face 2 times more people, no matter how many infantry you're going to send, the result is going to be the same. But if there is a small difference from how many legions are on the battlefield, having more infantry is going to win. Why is that? The simple answer is the enemy marksmen and mages are always in attack. It's not like they're sitting there. So by hitting more infantry, since the enemy is, for example, enemy is sending more infantry, on my side I'm going to hit more infantry. On the enemy side, since I have less infantry, first of all, our infantry may die fast. This means they're going to start shooting over the mages and marksmen that are way more squishy, and at the same time they're going to have their infantry there. That's why they're extremely important in the open field fight. The other thing is obviously the blink. This artifact, back in the days I didn't think that much over this artifact, but this one ended up to be artifact for one of the best strategy in Call of Dragons in 2025. And this is the blink infantry. Maybe this strategy was used back in the days also, but it's not that popular like now. Right now you have to keep in mind that anytime 3-4 infantry can blink, and it can be painful because they can stuck like maybe 30-40 legions there. The moment they stuck this legion, and if it's a couple infantry, not like 1 or 2 infantry, it's like 4-5 infantry, those legions are gone. Those mages or marksmen, whatever is there, is going to get destroyed. And this is disrupting the gameplay of the mages and marksmen. Right now they have to open their eyes on 4 just because they can actually get a blink. and get stuck. This is one of the things. The other thing over frontline stability is your mages and marksmen is going to continue fighting. They're not going to start running if your infantry are present on the battlefield. You're going to continue hitting the enemies. The moment your infantry are killed on the battlefield, you start running. When you run, you don't execute your rage skill. It's going to be full bar of rage, but you're not going to trigger your spell. This is one of the things. The second thing, you can get catched by cavalry in situation like this. Infantry, having more march speed from the mages, can easily charge you and block like 2-3 people per infantry, can use Spirit Bone Torque, can taunt like 5 legions. The thing become extremely bad if you lose your infantry. So frontline stability is something extremely important, and you're going to achieve that by having infantry there. That's why I strongly suggest every player have like one good infantry legion. Right now I'm using over my Goresh, obviously. I'm going to use him for Blink on the enemy side, and I'm working over my Kuma. I think Kuma is something that changed Call of Dragons for sure. This hero, just by draining the HP and getting this HP, become absolutely crazy. And the moment I blink with Goresh and Kuma, first of all, this legion is going to be extremely hard to be killed. No joke, the legions with Kuma inside is very hard to be killed. You start seeing some crazy reports from infantry doing crazy amount of merits. And the reason behind is infantry are doing counterattack. The moment they blink, you're in the melee range. That means they're not doing 50% counterattack, they're doing 100% counterattack. In the same time, having Kuma draining the HP is lowering the HP of the legions around Kuma, which make them more weaker. And we start seeing some crazy infantry reports in Call of Dragons. So far we was thinking just the infantry is meat shield, but right now you can be extremely successful as an infantry main with 2 legions. Li Kuan, Kuma, Goresh, Skogul. So far for the Goresh Skogul, I think people understand that this was a good legion, and right now Li Kuan and Kuma is also a good legion. So let's talk about the last synergy. I already make a point there, and that was the blink strategy. When you blink and you catch good amount of range units, it's like catching a fish with the infantry. How do infantry scale in the big fights? And we're talking mostly for the alliance fights. The more players coordinate infantry, the more chaos you can create by holding choke points together or even in the open field. Some phenomenon that I see, especially when people get blink, teleport blink, the mages and marksmen on the enemy side or even on our side, is people are getting in chows. And the moment you get in chows, and it's not like some chill just kill game, you start making mistakes. And in these chows, if you add some cavalry there, things can finish extremely fast. So for the alliances with crucial importance to actually have infantry players there, and what I'm doing right now is I'm having like 4 legions that are range 1, and I have 1 infantry that is basically going to jump the moment I get order to send my blink infantry on the enemy side. So I think this is crucial for the alliances. Some alliances even have a limit how much infantry you have to train this season, because they know that the infantry is winning the whole KVK. And having in mind that the infantry is also bringing a lot of merits on the table, I think we're going to see more and more people switching to infantry. By switching, I don't mean completely switching. Obviously, a free-to-play player who invests in Velen, Awake the Velen, invest in some other heroes that are extremely slow work, are not going to become full infantry. But I think people is going to at least make 1 legion for the infantry. Mostly it's going to be Li Kuan, Kuma, or maybe Goresh Kuma. Currently I'm working over Goresh Kuma, and yeah, I think in this direction is going to go Call of Dragons. Don't forget to like the video, also subscribe if you're new on this channel. This is so far my personal opinion over the infantry, how the infantry is having a core role in the PvP, and how people are underestimating the value infantry is bringing on the table. and all the ways you can actually use the infantry. So yeah, I wish you a great day and see you in the next video.